Hi, I'm Chris Hansen, founder of Karate Unity on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also find me at karateunity.ca. Welcome to my cross-training journey, exploring other combat sports and arts, helping me functionalize and understand my karate better. My global mission is to foster a tribal community where we can all train, learn, and share regardless of style, rank, organization, and gender. Welcome to the Karate Unity. Next up on the show, Canadian brother Andy Allen from Applied Shotokan.
Hi, I'm Andy Allen. Karate is my passion. Karate is my obsession. After years of 3K and competitive karate, I felt there was something missing. As a result of my research, cross-training, and seeking out other pragmatic karateka, I have undergone somewhat of an evolution. It is my mission to infuse practicality back into Shotokan training. This is my karate. This is Applied Shotokan.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Chris Hansen here from Karate Unity, live on Instagram. Also available at YouTube and Facebook. And you can also find me at karateunity.ca on my website. Welcome to my channel. I bring you functional karate content focusing on cross-training in other arts and combat sports. So, I'm a karate guy and I love everything about it, but I also love cross-training as well. I love meeting new people, learning and sharing with others. And some of the things I do here is I teach here locally and I travel to learn and to teach abroad. I also, mostly to adults, but I also run a youth nonprofit karate program here out of my school board with York Region District School Board. So my mission, I believe we should train together, unite, and avoid training in isolation. Every art and combat sport has something to offer, and we just simply need to unite, guys. To me, training in combat sports and other arts help me understand my own martial arts and my karate better. So basically, a solution to that is, my solution is, I train in an MMA gym. I'm constantly infusing boxing, Muay Thai, Savat, submission grappling into my game, and I also use the Krav Maga as a sealer. Okay, and to me, all of these arts help me enhance my karate skills. Now, with the recent COVID-19 and self-isolation protocols, Karate Unity has reached out internationally. We've collaborated and made many technical videos. We've done live training and lately done a slew of Q&As with instructors internationally all over the place. Just to name a few, US, Europe, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and now Canada. Okay, so today we have a very special guest, special interview live from my own homeland here in Canada. I'm based here in Toronto, Ontario. I live in a small town in Stouffville. We will interview another Canadian brother, another Canadian karate brother. He has 30 plus years in the arts, loves cross-training too, has a fresh practical view on karate. I've collaborated with him for a number of years, and I'm happy to call him my Canadian brother. I have seen his recent evolution, and I'm proud of his work. May I present to you Andy Allen. Let's bring him on. Here we are. So this is Andy Allen, my Canadian brother from another mother. We've done a lot of work in the past, and lately we've done a lot of collaboration. So I'm really glad you're here. Andy, just for the record, tell us a little bit about yourself and where we can find you online.
First of all,
yeah,
you're just jealous of all this goodness.
I got hair in different places that I can't.
That's what happens when you turn 50.
Yeah.
You
right.
Can find me Facebook, Applied Shotokan, YouTube, Applied Shotokan, and Instagram, Applied Shotokan. Easy peasy.
Pretty easy. So yeah. There you have it, guys.
And my blog is appliedshotokan.com.
Say that again, your blog?
Yep, appliedshotokan.com.
Perfect. All right, and guys, just to let you know, when this video is done, I will repurpose this and put this up on YouTube. All of this information, contact information, both for myself and Andy, will be in there. All the plugs to his places, the websites and all that stuff will be there. So yeah, appreciate the support. Okay, so this is how it's gonna work. I am going to fire off about 16 rapid fire questions to Andy, just for fun, before we get into the meat and potatoes of karate, okay? But just to get to know Andy and you know, keep him on his toes. So this is how it's gonna work, Andy. I'm gonna fire off some questions to you. You're not going to have a lot of time to answer it, so you're just going to keep going through. If you pause, I'm going to move on to the next one, and I'll get back to the one that you fumbled on maybe later.
I feel like I'm on a game show.
Yeah, man. Are you
ready?
ready?
Is there a prize?
Are you ready?
Is there a prize?
Yeah, the prize is I'm going to be cutting your hair off. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right, let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. All right, you ready? So, favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
Say a word in Spanish.
C.
Okay. Would you rather cuddle a baby panda or a baby penguin?
Panda.
All right. Dirtiest snack ever, bro. Dirtiest snack ever.
Poutine.
All right. Favorite, and that's Canadian. That's Canadian. That's Canadian. Okay. Favorite number?
7.
Okay. And this is for our Australian guys. Say good day, mate, in an Australian accent.
G'day, mate.
Okay, PJ, comment below. Tell me if that's legit. Okay, now, who has it easier? Oh, here we go. Now, this is gonna cause some trouble. So make sure you're seated. Okay, here we go. Who has it easier, men or women? Be careful.
Gotta go with men.
All right.
My wife's upstairs.
Conservative. You're playing defense, bro. You're playing defense. Okay. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Stubborn, opinionated, and obsessive.
Oh, okay. Stubborn, opinionated, and obsessive. All right.
That's what my wife says.
Yeah. Okay. Now, have you worn socks with sandals before?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what people think.
Bounce. Right there. Okay. Godfather or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Nice. Okay, I would have picked Godfather, but anyway, it's you're the guest. Okay, why can't we tickle ourselves?
There's a very scientific explanation for that, which I can't tell you because I don't know it.
Does it involve hikite? Just kidding. Okay. Okay. All right. What's the best age? What's the best age? 30.
You're young enough to have your body and old enough to know something.
Nice. What's your favorite car?
I just bought a Ford F-150.
Oh, the
shiny
red.
red.
Right? The red?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. Okay. Is double dipping at a party ever acceptable?
Only at a party of one.
Okay, here's a karate geek question. Shikadachi or kibadachi?
Well, I find shikadachi unnatural. We just don't do it in any of our katas. Probably better for your knees.
Yeah, shikadachi. Okay, all right. Last one. Mike Tyson or Holyfield?
Tyson.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's Andy. Thanks for joining us. We're done. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. All right. So there it is. All right. So my first question for you: why karate? Why did you pick that? Why did you venture into that genre of training?
When I was in high school, I made fun of my friend for taking karate. It was actually Shotokan karate. I had absolutely no plans on venturing into the martial arts, into karate or anything. I did it just by fluke. So I started my phys ed degree at Dalhousie in '89, and my classmate and I were walking to the sports complex, and there's a sign, beginner karate classes at Dalhousie right on campus. So we thought, hey, let's go give it a try. And we both went to the first class, and he didn't stick with it. He's too busy playing hockey, but I really liked it, and that's it. That's the story. There's nothing inspirational. Some people say, Bruce Lee inspired them, whatever, but for me, it's just completely fluke.
Yeah. 1989. Yeah, I started in the 80s as well. Around the same decade anyway. 80, I think 82, 81, 82.
Oh yeah, you were a kid then.
Yeah, I was 10 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, I was 19. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so most influential teacher. I know that's a tough one because I know you got a lot. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we are, to some extent, products of our environment and our experiences, right? I guess number one, I have to say my sensei from day one, Tony Tam. So I trained with him for 30 years. So he's the one that him and his brother Danny, they're the ones that kind of ignited the spark in me, right? Kept me excited about learning karate, and there's always something new to learn, right? In those first several years. My sensei Tony is technically, like in terms of execution of kata and whatnot, his technical proficiency is kind of ridiculous. He's a bit of a freak of nature. Yeah. He's 60 and he still jumps around like he's 35. And so I have him to thank for my tournament success, especially in the kata. Really keen eye for detail. Once I kind of ventured out of the Shotokan world and into some other arts, I guess the next gentleman would be Ian Abernethy. He's the one the first one that made sense of, helped me make sense of kata, him and Patrick McCarthy. So I came across Ian's work first, and just on YouTube, right, saw some videos, and I had, for the Shotokan people out there, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're doing the JKA kind of bunkai, you're standing here, there's 8 people around you, right? And this guy punches with a oizuki, but he has to just have the right distance, right? Just so I can move into my front stance, and he steps back. So that kind of compass point bunkai nonsense. That's all I had learned, because that's what the JKA would do, right? Yeah. So anyway, I saw a video of Ian's online. It was amazing. It was some Heian Godan stuff. It was just a defense against a lapel grab, but it's anchoring, smash the arm, smash the neck, crank the shoulder, rip to the jaw, grab the hair, chin, crank the neck, and dump him on the ground. That makes more sense. Yeah. Right? So, yeah, so and I've trained with Ian a number of times now. I've been to a few of his seminars, and also his 2019 residential, which is basically 4 days of nothing but practical karate. So he'd be my number one for the practical karate kind of field. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I've touched hands with Pat McCarthy because he's a fellow Torontonian. So yeah. He knows my sensei, the founder of this style here, Danny.
Wait a minute. He's from New Brunswick.
But but then he trained here in Toronto. He trained here and stayed here in Toronto for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I know Jeff McDonald's listening, so I'm gonna put that out.
Yeah, yeah. I know with Ron Yamanaka, him and Ron had the Aki Jiu-Jitsu, one of the earliest Aki Jiu-Jitsu organizations here. So that's where my sensei Vic Arnold met Pat. So yeah, I've trained at a lot of KU clubs here, KU meetup groups here, and I like where the practical karate movement's going. Ian opened my eyes up too. I mean, Ian, for example, like the British combat guys, those guys are solid. I mean, Jeff Thompson's group they're just beasts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They get it. You know?
UK is a bit of a mecca for practical karate. There's all kind of stuff going on over there. I think they have a lot of the sport and 3K stuff too. But there's so much with the British Combat Association and.
Oh yeah, man. I did a seminar there through John Titchen there, and I met up with some of the guys that are watching right now, like Brian Bates and those guys, and trained with them too. And oh yeah, man. Shout out to the UK peeps. You guys are good. Keep it going. You know.
I was supposed to go there last weekend.
Oh, that's right.
It's Ian's residential, 2020 residential, and of course that got canceled with the COVID. I was supposed to train with Peter Considine the day before the residential, so I was going to have 5 days of awesome karate stuff and all kinds.
I feel your pain, brother. I feel your pain. No, really, I'm not just saying that. Like I had PJ's watching. PJ's one of our associates in Australia. I was supposed to go and train with those guys. They sponsored me down there, and like I'm just. It's not a no show. It's right now. It's just a bye for now. I'll probably reconvene like. Maybe next summer, but yeah, it's a hard one to stomach, you know, like training's our life, man. But
yeah, I know.
But okay, so influential teachers. Your first teacher, you said his last name was Tam. It sounds like a Chinese man. did he cross train in any Chinese arts or anything, and infuse anything in your karate or?
You know, I remember him teaching some kind of trapping close stuff once in a while.
Yeah.
I think his dad did some Wing Chun or something, so he may have picked some things up. And I remember watching before I got into that close range kind of stuff on my own. I didn't understand how the heck he was doing it. But you know, I said he's a bit of a freak of nature, and I mean that as a compliment, of course. So, if memory serves me correctly, I think he grew up in Truro, which is where I'm from, central Nova Scotia, and he was training at a club, and at one point he took over a club. I think he was a green belt, and he was teaching. So he, almost for his entire karate career, he hasn't really trained under someone directly. He's by and large self-taught. And yeah, so they trained for the 70s and 80s, and with of course no internet. He just had books he'd get his hands on, some magazines, and the odd time there was one of the Japanese masters coming to a nearby city, he'd drive and ask him to watch his kata. And so how he accomplished his skill level, essentially teach himself, I don't understand how he ever did it, but it's something.
It's possible. I mean, I see a lot of, well, I haven't seen anybody learn martial arts fresh from scratch without any previous background, but
no, you have to have something.
Yeah, but in this day and age, I mean, with the internet and how everything is scaffolded nicely and presented, you could pull it off. You could pull off training on your own, but you need some partners. That's my my thing. Okay, so I've known you for a while. We've talked for a while. I haven't met you in person, but we've inboxed.
It feels like we know each other, but
exactly.
Never sat in the same room together.
Oh yeah, man. And I can't wait. Trust me, when all of this COVID ends, I'm gonna make a definite effort to reach out to more people, and I'm gonna, I'm saving my money so I can fly out and see you guys. And definitely, Andy, I'm gonna come and see you, man. We'll
come to the East Coast.
Yeah, man, come to Toronto too. We have a guest room here, and I got a half decent dojo size here. We could train. And we'll make it a training party. I'll bring all my guys down and
someday.
Yeah, one day. But knowing you, I know you've cross-trained in different arts. I know we've spoke before when I got into jits like a couple of years back, and we were talking about how jiu-jitsu is hard on the joints and this and that. If you can share with us some of the arts and sports that you've cross-trained in.
All right. So I didn't start any martial arts until 19. Growing up as a kid, I played a bit of, but we didn't have a lot of money. I wanted to play hockey. One of my friends played hockey, but it was just flat out no. We just couldn't swing it financially. But I played baseball with the YMCA, right? Did that all through Little League and Bantam. Played a little bit of soccer. Played for a school team in grade 9. But from grade 6 right through high school, then my number one sport would be Olympic style weightlifting. Yeah. And I was never great at it. I'm just wrong build. When I was junior high, I was just like a broomstick, right? Long and lanky, long legs and short back, which is completely opposite. My father was my coach. He was Canadian champ back in the 60s. And so my father, he was built like a weightlifter. Mom used to say his thighs, if you measure them, was longer than his inseam. So he's like tree trunks, right? Where I got these long, gangly legs. It's just the leverage is all wrong. But my father is a very particular kind of person, and like myself, I guess where I get it from, the things that he's passionate about, he's mentally all in. So he was a kind of a coach that would research everything, and so I did gain a very high level of technical proficiency. I just didn't have the body proportions to kind of pull it off. So I relied on technique and flexibility. So Olympics, so some people may not know what it is. There's powerlifting and Olympic lifting. They're two different things. Powerlifting, we make fun of them. They're just the gorillas with all brute strength. The Olympic lifting would be the snatch. So you have a wide grip, you pull it up, you drop underneath it. Other one's a clean and jerk, right?
Clean and jerk,
so, and people don't understand there's you see CrossFit online, and often that's really, really bad.
Yeah.
But a good Olympic weightlifter, there's so much technique, and if you're off just an inch in terms of the barbell placement as it's going up, it's all out of balance, and you're going to end up dropping it. But I, because of my general lack of strength, I get the bar up so high, I drop underneath it into my squat position with the bar over top. My butt's like this close to the floor. That's the only way I could be competitive is to have good technique and time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did that right up through high school, and once I went to university, there's no place to train, but I discovered karate then, so that was okay.
Right.
So Shotokan from it was actually January 99 onward, and I started coming out of the Shotokan bubble. I call it a bubble because there's this kind of unwritten rule or this culture in a lot of traditional martial arts organizations where you got to stay, you got to be loyal, right? Yeah. And don't venture out. So I never really felt the need to, and that was what was kind of expected. But eventually I needed to broaden my skill set. So at age 45, I decided I wanted to learn how to throw. So I took some judo. And that was awesome. I had some good instructors. Learning to throw was fun. I love throwing people. I don't like taking falls. It just hurts too much, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I feel this electric coming from the judo dojo, but then 10 minutes later, I arrive at my driveway, step out of my truck, and I can't straighten up. I can't turn my head.
You're wrecked.
But despite the fact that I had done good break falls all night, I'm just a mess. So eventually I had to give that up. And my judo sensei said, don't worry about it. Come back if you want to. But, it's the young man's game. And even he would say, yeah, I don't take falls anymore. He's just beat up. So what I discovered in judo is that I like the newaza, the ground fighting.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a huge focus on it because most of the training in judo is stand-up if it's a competitive kind of club, because that's where you start in competition. In competition, I think you have 20 seconds on the ground to finish someone. So I didn't learn as much on the ground as I did throwing, but anyway, I decided to take up some jiu-jitsu. And I found a club close by. It was under Hoist Gracie, so it was more the self-defense kind, not the sporty kind of thing.
I remember that. You were telling me about that.
Yeah. So I really liked that, and I haven't been there for a year, but my training would be very sporadic, right? Because I just start feeling good, and then I bust my knee out. Get healed up, come back again, I have tendonitis in my elbow. I can't grip anything. So I trained off and on for a year and a half, got a few stripes on a white belt. But a lot of those things I learn in jiu-jitsu, I do incorporate into my karate teaching, because I think as stand-up martial artists, we need to have some minimum level of proficiency on the ground. So what I teach is pretty simple. It's some sweeps, how to get out of someone's in your guard, how to get on top and do a submission from there. I don't do any of the sporty that will get you in trouble.
Hi to some people. Yeah.
So judo, jiu-jitsu, and a ton of seminars from different practical karate people.
Yeah, that's pretty holistic. So I just taken some notes here. So you did the powerlifting, the Olympic lifting, judo and jiu-jitsu. I'm assuming the lifts that you did kind of taught you about biomechanics and weight distribution and stuff like that. I mean, I know guys that powerlift and do bodybuilding and things like that, and they do a lot of kettlebell training, and it translates into their striking and throwing, I find.
You're right. I mean, part of it is knowing how to take those skills and transfer them into a different kind of set of mechanics. Olympic weightlifting is all about leverage and angles and using your legs in a strong way. Use the big parts, not the small parts, and even just I live in the suburbs, and we have big wooded lots here, right? So there's always debris and stuff. And when I was younger, I used to take a hardwood log that's 8 feet long and kind of do a clean up my shoulders and wiggle up on balance one shoulder, walk it across the yard with it. It's not because I was strong.
You did the Rocky. You did the Rocky.
I just knew how handle things without using all brute strength, and that does translate into throwing once you learn some kind of techniques with that. Yeah.
Yep. This leads me to my next question. Something that I'm extremely passionate about, and I wanted your take on it. I talked to Ian about it on our last interview, and that's the topic of cross training and combat sports. So I'll tell you my take. It's really, really simple. I like to I don't like to segregate the two. I think both of them should be married, and I'll tell you why. You know, people have criticized, you know, combat sport is separate from martial art, but the way I see it is, since, you know, if I want to clean up my striking, either at a long range, middle range, or at a close range, I'm going to go to a boxer. I'm going to go to a Muay Thai guy, and they're going to clean up my striking. And that's what I do. I'm in an MMA club right now, and I'm learning a lot about going on the inside, and a lot of the intricacies of the things we do is stripped into simplicity on the inside. You know what I mean? So to me, that's the value, you know, of it. And you know, people say, you know, the sport teaches you bad habits. There's rules and this and that. Well, the way I see it is like, I've analyzed fights. I've been with people. I've been in fights too. I can't brag that I've been in, you know, in a lot when I was younger. And yeah, things are abbreviated, and things are just basically thrown out the door. You rely on your training, your instincts, and this and that, on gross motor and all that kind of stuff. And but the adaptations you can make in sport, you know, you get a guy who's trained in sport and you teach him some self-defense concepts or tactics. My argument is, I think you can make those adjustments very easily, you know. And so what I'm trying to get at with you, I want to take your take. Like, to me, I think there's a lot of value in combat sport. There's a lot of value in, like, you know, the kicking and punching arts, the grappling arts, and all that. And what I'm doing is I'm amalgamating it into my karate. And at the end of the day, I'm just like you. I love everything about it, but I don't see it as a holistic system. I see it as a part of a bigger puzzle. And so when I go out there and I train with other people, I bring it all back and I reassemble it and try to understand my karate. I mean, that's how I train. Like, I wanted to know, what's your take on cross training and combat sports? Well, and other arts too, cross training and other arts as well.
I think as far as the importance of cross training, whether we shouldn't, the value of it, I think that's an individual thing.
Yeah.
And I think it depends on a person's goal.
Yeah.
Okay. So if your goal, if your reason for joining a 3K karate club is just, you know, to get fit, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to march up and down the dojo, punch air molecules, and it's a wicked workout. Your legs will get stronger and bigger. Your cardio will improve. You know, that's not what I want, though. I think fitness should be a byproduct of practical training. So karate is predominantly a striking art. It's kind of striking with grappling. I think that's the way Ian Abernathy puts it. So for me, my goal when I started branching out was to make sense of kata and kind of unlock the grappling components in it, and not having someone close by that can teach me that, just relying on seminars once in a while. I had to go do stuff. And then, so the first step I took was judo. So I know there's a bunch of throws in kata. So Heian or Pinan Sandan, there's 3 throws I can think of top of my head. And once you learn some mechanics, you know, the throws are kind of related. They're lifting throws and blocking throws and so on. So I went to judo for that, and then they teach you some joint locks, stand joint locks and stuff, and you know, you kind of get this figure 4 position. Oh, it looks like this kata. But I wanted to unlock kata, which means I had to take grappling arts. So I had to cross train. It's an absolute necessity, because you are. I don't know if you've ever heard this. There's so much BS and nonsense and myths in the traditional arts. I might be taking a tangent here. I warned you I have ADHD.
It's okay, bro. I'll bring you back. I do the same. Go ahead.
So
one love.
Many times I've heard from high-ranking people, you just keep practicing your kata, and you'll understand it someday. And
it's like shooting in the dark.
Right, you'll eventually hit it, but more chance of that, I think. So if you only did a 3K karate, had no exposure to grappling, wrestling, or judo, or jiu-jitsu, or anything, you are not magically going to figure out that this can be a gi choke.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you have to go cross-train. Or if you're fortunate enough to have an instructor who's very holistic, that does that sort of thing, like someone in the British Combat Association or the Koryu Uchinari, that's kind of what their karate is like. Then maybe you don't need cross-train. But I didn't have that luxury, so I had to. So yes, I think depending on your goals, you do or don't have to do cross-training. And if you are looking at broadening your skill set, you also have to think, well, what kind of skill set am I looking for? Am I looking for fighting? And in particular, am I looking at striking or grappling, or am I looking at self-defense? Because there is some overlap. If we draw a Venn diagram of fighting skills and self-defense skills, there's some overlap, but there's all kinds of self-defense skills that are not part of fighting skills, and the dynamics are different. And a lot of people don't understand that. So maybe if you're really just focused on self-defense, maybe you want to look at some Krav Maga or something that's more geared towards that. If you're looking at becoming a fighter, maybe look at some Muay Thai, because in Shotokan, it's very straight, right? If you look at Master Okazaki, he just passed away, unfortunately. He was the head of the ISKF, which I used to belong to. He had a book called Textbook of Modern Karate. So there's all these obscure little strikes with in the book. And the bent chicken head, the Ippon Nukite, and there's a hook punch, right? Yeah. Kagebuki. But never once in my 30 years did anyone ever teach a hook punch other than, I don't know if you can see me, you know, this kind of thing, you know, with no the lower body or anything. So it's there, but it really is lost. So
I can't, if you don't mind, can I just jump in on what you just said? Yeah. Okay. So and I appreciate the fact that you had to get up out of your chair, man. Love that. You're getting into it. I thought I'm the only one.
I can't sit still for very long.
But no, we're a lot alike. By the way, if you didn't know, Andy's a school teacher as well. We're both school teachers, so I'd love to pick your brain about that part of the martial arts too later. But to your point earlier on, you know, we've got, okay, it's my turn now to get up. We've got all these movements. You know, we've got these movements. We've got these movements. We've got all these movements. These movements here. We've got them all in our kata. They're all these moves in our kata. This is my pet peeve about what traditional karate guys tend to do, okay? And pretty much any art that plays this kind of game, it's this game here. We have it too. We've got that too. Yeah, you got it, but you don't use it the same way. Okay, so for example, to your point, I mean, yeah, we've got these in Naihanchis, we've got all these hooked arm motions. I mean, guys, at the end of the day, our bodies could only move a certain amount of permutations and combinations. But the point is, see, I don't know what the context of this move was. I mean, I can go back and you know, look at historical evidence and all this kind of stuff, but to me, that's irrelevant. To me, you have all these Kihon Wazas and all these katas and stuff. They exist in a box, okay? We take out the box, and it's up to us. It is our responsibility to make it work. Now, if we're going to say that we have that too, well, I'd like to see you make it effective, right? I mean, to me, this hook line arm can be used for lots of things. If you're going to use it as a hook punch kind of thing, you know, I've seen people use it as a hook punch, but their hands are down. Well, that kind of tells me that A, they don't spar, B, they haven't done any resistance kind of training, C, they haven't done a lot of flow drills to know that you can be countered, right? So if you're going to be using it as some sort of punch, you have to cover up, you got to stack your bones, you got to use your head, you got to be able to angle out, you got to have an exit plan. And let me just tell you, I didn't learn any of that from karate. Nothing. No, I didn't learn any of that. I tried to use these things in fighting, but I got my ass beat by a boxer. So therefore, I trained in combat sports in order to just understand, just like you, I wrote this down, like you said, your judo informed your karate. When you did a lot of those throws, you actually saw in your mental Rolodex of all these categories of things you saw, you picked out certain keyhones, correct me if I'm wrong, that you can use in a throw. And you can actually, that judo helps you understand that, right? So that's all I'm saying, man. I'm trying to embrace everyone together so I can have a network of people to make each other better. Because, you know, I train at an MMA gym, and a lot of these guys don't know what karate is. They think they have a very simplistic idea, in fact, a very wrong idea of what karate is. But when they see, all these static kind of movements, but when they see me move and when they see me, how I express it, they're actually quite interested. And so that's when the magic happens. MMA for karate, karate for MMA, and we're trade, right? Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. So
yeah, when I was doing some jiu-jitsu, there's a young guy in the after class. He found out I was in karate, and he said, "Yeah, I did karate when I was a kid, but I quit. I just couldn't stand doing the." Well, I said, "Well, I get that, because that's been a lot of people's experience, but there's all kinds of gold in the kata." So I said, you know, maybe it was Taekwondo. It is. You have a block like this. I said, yeah, inside forearm block. He says, you know, it's not that great as a block. It's kind of a 1-2 motion, whereas the punch is a 1 motion. The timing's all wrong. So, you know, if you grab me, I can use this motion to smash your bicep and then smash your side of your neck. Yeah. And so I had him, you know, just grab my jiu-jitsu gi and smack. And then the follow-up movement, the yakuzuki, and you come down the elbow, crank it over. They do this, you punch across the jaw like a hand go down. So why wasn't someone teaching that to me? I would have stayed in Taekwondo if they knew that. So, well, that's the way it works.
You know what? I mean, I'm grateful to have met people who have shown me certain things, and sometimes they've shown it to me just by mistake, right? Like, for example, like I always, like, to your point, I always try to find meaning behind all of these Kihon wazas, right? Like in the beginning, I was taught that this is a block, right? Yeah. It's a block against punches. Well, I tried using these techniques, like at university, just a quick little story, and bring me back if I'm going too much, okay? But a quick little story in university, I also trained with some martial arts in university too, and we would cross-train. One of the guys, we would go to the dance studio there, and then off hours during our prep times, like in between classes, we would just train in the dance studio. And there were boxers there, Muay Thai guys, Taekwondo guys, and then there was me. And I knew all these guys from class, and we would just move around, and you know, the boxer was you know, their hands were all over the place. They're like here, there were snappy punches, they were moving. It was hard to catch a punch, and it was hard to stop a punch, right? So all I knew was this kind of stuff. At best, what I did manage to do against the boxer was to stuff him here, maybe stop him here, right? At this intermediate kind of motion. But there was no way I could actually move that unless I distanced myself and kind of tagged his bones with my bones. But then at that point, I mean, his goal is just to come in and barrage me with a bunch of shots. So I had to adjust that. And then later on, when I actually trained boxing, my mind, because my mind is always on karate, I'm always seeing and very aware of what I'm doing, and aware of all these Kihon wazas. It's all ingrained in my muscles. When I see a boxer, for example, move low and high and use that low-high motion, and when I actually feel it in sparring, because you know, one of my coaches, Sam Lampini, he's very good at bouncing off the body and changing direction and hitting. And in particularly with Savat, they parry, they hit and change direction, and they're moving, and they're throwing in kicks at the same time. So they're continuously moving, and they're using the low-high concept. So when I saw that low hand going down and going up, I'm thinking, oh, right? Yeah. And when I'm seeing this, and this, I'm thinking, oh, parry, hit, or pluck, parry, hit, you know, or you know, get out of the way, or maybe here, this hand here, kind of deflect this here and throw in a shot right from there. I'm still using the shape, right? Yeah. But I'm getting informed by the cross training. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, for sure. I don't know, I just wanted to think, like, I wanted to pick your brain as to how do you figure out. So that's my next question. How do you train yourself and your students to unlock meaning? Like, what's your bunkai process?
You know, I find the more you learn, the easier it is to see. answers.
Yeah.
Right. And somebody got to kind of based on principles. So when you move to the side for a kata, the way I was taught is there's a guy over there going to attack me. But the angle represents the angle I want to get in relation to my enemy. Not the enemy is in front of you.
Yeah.
I want to get the angle. He's not over there. So, and some possibilities like the uchi-uke. What are some different uses of the uchi-uke? So basically, I'll use it as a hit the arm, hit the neck. I'll also use it as a maybe call it a chin pick or something. If you're reaching around, you're kind of doing that. So when you look at kata and you've got different kind of combinations in different sequences, like there's an uchi-uke, then another uchi-uke, or the uchi-uke yakuzuki, understand what a hikite can be used for, not for power. And what the uchi-uke, depending on the sequence of the movements in this little segment of the kata, you can kind of put them together to come up with a meaning. And that I can't say I've really mastered that process. I'm still in that learning phase where I look at something and figure out what it means. Sometimes I'll come up with some things I think are pretty good. But a lot of times I'm relying on seeing people who've walked the path before me and looking at what they've done and expanding on that. So when I'm teaching my students, I want my students to understand why they're learning what they're learning. Okay, so rather than just saying this is the bunkai sequence you need to know for your green belt, here, learn it. I want them to understand not just the movement, but the principle behind it. So I think there needs to be some cognition there as well, not just the physical execution of technique. I want students to understand what the angles mean. I want students to understand what the hikite can mean. Why are we in a back stance? What can this mean? The principles, rather than just kind of memorizing, do step 1, 2, 3, 4. I do it fast and do it effectively. You got my blue belt, right? Understand the process and thinking behind it that other people before them went through. And also, this is kind of a side note, because you talked about bad habits before, so I call them training scars. Training scars, I like that term. So I put that term up down, and it was supposed to be an Ian Abernethy seminar in Texas a few years ago, but he wasn't allowed in the country. TSA, is that correct? Anyway, he didn't have the right documentation. So they read this a condensed version of the seminar. So one of the hosts, he used that term, which I really liked, and I wrote a fairly extensive paper on it. So I also want my students to understand, why are we doing this drill? And that's actually part of their syllabus. They need to know, why are you doing this drill? What are some strengths behind it? And what are some flaws in the drill? Because all training is flawed, right? We can't just go around smashing the crap out of each other because no one comes back. So we have to do things safely. So safety requires some inherent flaws in training. So for example, there's one little simple drill I start off with my white belts right from the get-go, is they're just doing a bit of shifting back and forth, and there's they're doing like a jab, and they parry. There's the yakuzuki, rather a punch. They parry the punch, they come back with the punch. They just go like this. So it's very simple, and it's just to learn some general basic body movement and some distancing and some reaction time. And so what I want them to understand, it's a drill. You're learning some basic fundamental skills. The flaw they should understand is you're not trying to hit anyone. You're trying to come close, but you don't try to knock their head off. So there's safety involved. That's a flaw. Turn taking. So the objective is not to dominate your partner. The flow, back and forth, back to get lots of repetitions in. And flow drills, by their nature, especially those that loop back and forth with turn taking, are flawed because you're training to fail and not finish. I want to recognize that.
But the point is, every single thing you mentioned just now has extreme value for what that drill is doing, right? So the flow drill gives you that repetitive kind of memory mnemonic to kind of ingrain that muscle memory so that you can get that, like I see a lot of those floors. Like I think one of the things I like that you did was you call it throwing some dirt into the drill. So you did like you're working on the Shotokan, which is kind of like a face wash, and then you went into a bomb smash and head manipulation, all that stuff, and then set, do it again, right? And to me, that kind of stuff is important. You know, like when I look at that stuff, I see that as like playing a scale in music. You know, you have to play those scales, man. You gotta have those notes, and then once you got that down, and once you can do the chords and all that kind of stuff, then you're gonna make a composition, and then you're gonna freestyle, and then once you're comfortable with all of that, the rhythm, the tempo, the melody, and all that kind of stuff, any kind of artist with any kind of instrument can join you, and you can just pick up on that and flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I can't stand is like people don't understand the whole idea of context and flaws and scars and all these things. Like, I mean, you and I have had issues, you know, with the internet masters, that's bashed our stuff and this and that. And you know what, to me, like I'm learning to take it off the shoulder. And I'm trying to just focus on, you know, the goodness of what I'm trying to do and bring everybody together. Like, here's the thing. Okay. Everything that we do has a function, right? And you can't judge someone's stuff based on one particular video. You know what I mean? Because you weren't there, you weren't standing there, you weren't there before the video was taken, you weren't there after the video was taken, you weren't even there before the video was even thought of. There's a context behind all of that stuff. And to me, that's a sense of maturity. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be mature and understanding all of that stuff. So when you talk about scars and flaws and all these things, I think it's very important as a mature martial artist to understand all of that stuff. You know?
Yeah. There's a video I did a while ago, a couple years back. It's actually one of Patrick McCarthy's drills. I just added a kick in there. It's I guess you call it inspired from Hien Yondan or Pinan Yondan. Anyway, it's a looping flow drill or infinity drill, and your partner throws a looping haymaker. You jam it and strikes at the same time. You lock it up. You know, you give them a little bit of love. You yank them out, bicep bump. You throw an elbow and a headbutt, kick the inside of the leg some way, and then you throw a punch. It goes back and forth. So it's a beautiful drill, and it can get really dirty with it, and you're getting tossed around. So it's good because it teaches while you're receiving all the dirt, kind of get used to the physicality, and also the tori at the particular part of the drill, the person giving all the dirt, kind of keep in control of the altercation, right? You're gonna hit him in the neck, you're gonna lock him up, bicep bump, elbow strike, kick in the leg, headbutt, and give him a shove. It's just bang, 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 bang. Anyways, YouTube Warrior came on. You know, he's watching my partner, and you know, you do 7 things without him moving. It's a drill. Yeah. Right? And he said you're never going to get that in a real fight. You're right.
Yeah.
Probably.
Tell me something I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, here's the thing, man. Like, I know what I want to say. I want to share with you something like what I do with my kids. So in my kids class, for example, so I teach a youth program, and one of the things I do is I'm always catering to their background. Okay, so for example, one particular semester I had a bunch of kids that trained in competitive kung fu, tournament taekwondo, and sport karate. Okay, so all these guys had some knowledge of moving around, and they had knowledge of pumse and forms and all these things. Okay, and they were all familiar with this movement here, this middle block. And I asked them, I said, I just showed them. I started off my first class, I said, what's this? And they all identified it. Oh, it's a block. And they all called it different things, right? And I said, show me where you've learned it from and how, the context in which you've done it. So they all showed me this amazing forms and all these things. And I said, awesome, good stuff. How do you use it? So they were kind of nervous about that. I said, oh, and I brought some partners in, and they were showing me. And they were basically showing me, you know, stuff like against long, predictable punches, you know, they block, or they'll step off and block. And I said, okay. So now what I did was I said, let's do a drill, okay? And I said, can I borrow one of you guys? So I borrowed the karate guy, brought him down. A really, really nice kid. He was one of my students too in class. I said, okay, I want you to do that block, okay? And I'm going to come at you, and I had gloves on. Don't be scared. And he was with all of his friends around. So I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to throw all kinds of punches at you. And all I want you to do is I want you to do your best to take that technique and make it work. Just whatever you want to do, just make it work, right?
Yeah.
So he was getting hit in the head and the body, and I was chopping up his hands and this and that. I shoved him, and he was having a hard time. I said, okay, now I'm going to do that drill again. And what I want you to do is, as soon as I start chopping up your hands, I want you to change angles and try to pull that move off. One of the ways I teach these kids is I kind of go in reverse. So I show them I let them feel uncomfortable, right? And I let them see where the problems are with the movement, and I let them figure it out for themselves. And if they can't, then I'm going to show them some options. So for example, with that one kid, you know, he was caught in the center. He couldn't pull that arm off. He couldn't do that technique because I kept shoving him and pushing him and hitting him, right? Like gently, of course, but you know, I had gloves on. I had like 16 ounce, and I was just going in and I was doing that. So he couldn't do that. I said, okay, turn your body, step and turn your body and do that same move. So he stepped, and then he just turned, and his hand was right into the center of my face. And I stopped, and I go, beautiful. Did you guys see what he did? He capitalized on taking the pressure off by, and he actually, naturally, I asked him to think about what he just did. He didn't even know what he did. And I said, think about it. I said, what did you just do? He says, well, I kind of kept my hands close, and I had to keep it close, Mr. H. He calls me Mr. H. He goes, Mr. H, I had to keep it close because if I didn't, I'd keep getting hit. So I kind of naturally kept my hands close, and I had to turn like you told me to. And then I noticed there was a spot where I can hit you. So I did, right? And I go, bingo, bro. I go, so guys, welcome to karate class. This is how we're going to roll for the rest of the semester. And we're going to be learning, you know, ways of using all the things you know how to use already, but we're going to learn it from a practical problem-solving kind of point of view. And I told him, I said, guys, I learned this from boxing, right? I didn't learn this from my karate class. I learned this from boxing. I learned this, and then I showed them options later on as the weeks went on. I showed them how to crash in and clinch, how to come in and throw knees and take down, you know, and all these kind of things, right? And then, you know, I can tie it back to kata and kihon, but I can't tie everything back because, yeah, we have those little snapshot images, but it's not used quite the same way, right? So, and I'm okay with that. So that's where I go out and I say, all right, I'm going to go to a guy who can throw, and he's going to teach me, and I'm going to put it back in my game. But not once am I going to say, oh, we have that in karate too, because we don't. We've got pieces, but the only way that it can make it work is if we can actually try to make it work. I'm not going to be that guy that's going to say, oh, we have it too, because that's just wrong. You know what I mean? We don't have everything, right? That's just me. But let's see here. All right, being an educator, I really want to talk to you about that. So you're an educator. I know the answer to this because I've seen you teach and we've talked about it. But I'd love for you to share with the world, how has your teacher hat, you know, the fact that you're an educator, you put curriculum together and you disseminate it to your audience, your students, like how has that influenced your teaching and training?
Well, I think I was a martial artist before I was a teacher, but to some extent, I have to try to practice what I preach. So a lot of what I teach in high school is biology, and the other half is my martial arts course. But sometimes when I'm teaching biology, kids are often mark-driven. You know, what do I need to do to get my 90%? And yeah, that's their goal. It's not about the learning, and they want to kind of spit out facts at me, right? Define this. I don't ask definitions on tests. I want them to understand things holistically. So students have a hard time with this, but the way I look at education, whether it's biology or math or physics or the arts, there has to be some level of memorization, but that is just a tool to get you started so you can internalize concepts and be able to make connections between concepts. So for example, and I'll try to make this kind of, you know, speak in layman's terms as much as possible. Cells. We have a big unit in grade 11 biology on cells. And the membrane is kind of the outer boundary. And there's different ways a cell will acquire oxygen or glucose or whatever, depending on the nature of the chemical properties of the compound. And So students want to memorize, for example, okay, small, non-polar, and it's non-ionic, it'll go through the membrane. If it's big or if it's polar, it needs a membrane protein to transport it, either with energy or without energy, against the concentration, blah, blah, blah. They want to memorize all this stuff and spit it back in a test.
Yeah.
And I tell them, you do have to memorize some things, but I want you to internalize it in a way that you can make connections between this concept and something, a novel idea. So I may ask them a question on an assessment on a topic they have never learned about. But if they're armed with the principles of membrane transport that I've already taught them, they can draw from that and come up with maybe the questions asked them to diagnose something. Or if there's a genetic problem with someone and their cells lack a particular protein, what's the result?
Yeah.
They got to make out those connections. And so that's what I'm telling the students that they should value in education. You know, it's end of the day, whether they remember any biology doesn't really matter. It's just a tool for learning. It's an exercise for the brain to think and analyze and assimilate. So I use the same kind of philosophy with my martial arts. So it's not about memorizing. If we go back to kata, memorizing boom, boom, boom. Or it's not about memorizing. Someone grabs my lapel, I do my uchiuku inside block and
right.
Pull the air. It's not about memorizing the drill. It's about understanding principles, the way joints move, where they don't want to move. So what way do I pull to get this kind of reaction? And it's about breaking from the drill. The drill is not the goal. I do a ton of drills, and some are just kind of start-end drills. Some are flow drills that take turns. But I do a lot of drills. But the goal is not to master the drill. The goal is to learn the drill, to memorize the drill, and then be able to do that on the fly, to make connections with different principles of bunkai, different principles of striking, and so on, and be able to do that in a non-rehearsed context. So, but my background with 3K karate, with the exception of your sport sparring, the kata is just that. It's step one. Yeah. Define active transport in biology, or right. Define ionic compound. But you talk about the concept of an alphabet, right? Yes. But you gotta dissect the kata, put it together in different ways, and use it differently to deal with different situations, to deal with a haymaker punch, to deal with a two-handed grab, and so on. And you gotta go beyond that memorization and be able to internalize and own the combative concepts that are in kata. And so that I teach that in my biology class, go beyond memorization, and that's the way I look at training. I've written about this too on my blog site. Layers of training. So layering training to eliminate training scares. So right. You can do kata contextualized. So it doesn't have to be like this. It can be like that. Right. Contextualized. So it's not pretty. It's not going to win you any tournaments. But I'm moving as if, there's a haymaker punch. I'm going to cover up and strike. Or wrap up, boom. That's my nukite. But it's, I'm moving like this in the air instead contextually. That's layer one. Nice. Layer two is let's work with a partner. It's choreographed. I know it's a haymaker punch. I know it's going to come when it's happening, but I go through that drill with an actual partner. But I can't hit him because I don't want to break his nose. Of course. And then maybe I do the same drill with a bit of dirt in there. So instead of going step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the throw, it's step 1, 2, give a little bit of juice in the ribs, toss the head around a little bit and add some mess in there. And then maybe layer 3 is same thing, but I'm going to use pads. Yeah. Right. So there's instead of grabbing the head, and put my elbow resting it by the jaw, I grab the focus pad and I smash it. Right. Yeah. Or maybe braced on the shoulder. I grab the head and I hit this, so I get the feeling of impact. But it's in the wrong spot, right? So I'm doing this instead of this. But I get hit, and then The last layer will be this flow and make things
flow,
happen. But if you only practice kata, you only move in a rigid kind of way. If you practice with a partner and never hit them, you don't learn how to hit. And as Yuki, you don't learn how to kind of cover up. So that concept, layering, helps work towards that stage where you can assimilate everything into
I love it, man. No, I love it. You're definitely on the right path. I mean, and I wouldn't, I'm not just saying that because, we're brothers here and, I like your stuff and I want to support you and stuff. I'm saying it because it's natural. When you naturally train and figure stuff out and be open, you're going to realize that you can't just stay in one spot. It's a learning concept, man. Like, that's where I love combat sport because, when you look at the training methods in combat sport, they strip off, they're the ultimate shuhari. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in a boxing class, I always use these examples in my podcast. My first experience, I just want to use boxing for example. My first class was to learn how to use the jab. And we learned it from a biomechanical principle. So we learned the shu. The let's copy. We learned how to do that. And they were giving us connections like take a cup, pour out the cup, put the cigarette out, turn your foot, rotate, right? And so we learned all that kind of stuff, right? And then we did drills. We did 1-2 drills. We moved around. I learned some basic footwork. And then we did like a kind of like a flow drill. It was pre-sequenced. I come in, I throw the jab, the person taps it. I throw the jab, they tap it, right? And so we did a bit of that, all right? And then we did kind of like a live drill where I have to try to hit you. You got to parry it or move your head or get out of the way. And so when that happened, lots of stuff was going wrong. I was getting hit. I was missing. I hit myself as I'm hitting, as I pull my hand back because I was scared of the distance. I was learning about all this stuff. I pulled my hand back. I hit myself and all this kind of stuff. But dude, that's when good coaching comes in. My coach came in, stopped it, and he kind of analyzed. He noticed that everyone was doing the same kind of thing. And then he was teaching us about range control. He was teaching us about how to throw the jab out. He was teaching us some footwork. He was teaching us about the breathing and stuff. And dude, in about 2-3 weeks, I started picking up proficiency in my jab, right? Yeah. And to your point, that's basically what you're doing. You're doing all these layers. You're doing, you're introducing scars and this and that, and you're training each little sliver for what? So that you could eventually get there and develop some proficiency. You're not just going to hang out with just the kata. To me, this is the kata. I mean, you and I can do this blue in the face, but we're not going to know what that jab is. We're not going to know it. Yeah. If we just do this, and do it, we need to play, right? And so I love what you're doing, man. Keep it up, man. Last question. How do you think we could, in my opinion, I think there's a lot of barriers and, prejudice is kind of like a harsh word, but, barriers and like, I guess you could say lack of awareness of what each other is doing and this and that in the martial arts, like a lot of restrictions. I know you left your organizations for various reasons. Really quickly, I know this is a big topic, but, how could we as martial artists, break down barriers, encourage more unity, cross-training, and just all-around respect in the martial arts? Like, how can we foster that, as coaches? What do you think?
2 things.
Yeah.
Ditch the dogma.
Yeah.
And break the bubbles. Yeah. So yeah. Dogma, that blind faith of following without questioning. Dogma's a killer, right, for growth.
Yep.
I think all martial artists should have a growth mindset. And
100%.
Right? If you don't have a growth mindset, you're just not going to improve. You're going to kind of tread water and doing what you're doing. So I want to continue learning. My body's broken. If I had my 35-year-old body now, I'd be on fire. But we have to keep learning. But dogma, which is so prevalent in big traditional organizations, because they seek for they aim for self-preservation, and so they don't want people. I'm generalizing here, of course. I know some organizations, they welcome branching out, but if en masse people start branching out and cross-training, that's the threat to the existence of the organization, because what happens in an organization is you keep everyone in there, don't go train with them, don't go do that, they're the bad guys. And if we keep them all contained and we can infiltrate their minds with the, make them drink the Kool-Aid kind of thing, right? We have all you need, there's no reason to go outside and explore the martial arts. But we have to break that Shotokan bubble, or that Cheetaroo bubble, or whatever it is, or just break it everywhere. Yeah, you don't have to lead the organization, but go explore. And but in order to break down barriers, like people like us, I think I like what we're doing. We're trying to put different perspectives out there on based on our background and our research. And people are either going to love it or hate it. They generally fall in two categories, right? But if more and more of us get on this kind of, I call it PK, practical karate, and it's not a bandwagon. It's more than that. It's not just a trend. Other people will argue that. The more of us doing this sort of thing, the more chance that person's going to consider other possibilities other than what they've been taught. In the 3K environment, for example, right? They have to say, oh, that's what this in Basadai means. I never thought about that. I thought it was, insert stupid application here. So we want light bulbs going off. Yeah. Right? And the first time I went to see Ian Abernethy, and the first time I went to see Patrick McCarthy, God, it's unbelievable. But that's what we need to get more people. Ian Abernethy always says you can't reason with the unreasonable. So for people we just won't reach. But for those who are willing to even consider it, keep throwing more stuff out there, more practical interpretations of kata, more different kind of angles on or thoughts on how to strike, etc. And they're either going to listen to it or they're not. And all we can do is try. And as hard as this is for me, can't be too emotional, because people are going to disagree with us, and people say that's not Shotokan, and my response is, no, you're probably right, because my Kion looks nothing like Shotokan Kion anymore. It's my Kion. It's what I do that I think makes develops transferable skills. Yeah, it's personal. It's customizable to you. I want to just end on your point. I mean, I look at what I do as practical, but I don't like to label as a practical label, because I'm Unity, man. Like this thing I created was to me, it was created because it makes sense. It was very personal to me. It makes sense to just basically embrace. In a nutshell, like, I mean, do you like to eat? Do you like food? I'm sure you do, right? Yeah. Food's great, right? So I love it when I go to a potluck, man. When you go to a potluck and people are bringing all kinds of foods and you're tasting it, you're putting it in your mouth, you're savoring it. And then you say, hey, man, I like what you did, because I did that something similar, but I like that spice you put in, whatnot. And you know what? How did you do that? And then you're trading recipes and this and that. It's like that with martial arts, man. Like you said, if you're exposing people to all these different options, you're bound to get some sort of synergy. But in order to do that, you have to have an open heart and an open mind. So for me, karate is a template. Karate, open hand way. But the fact that your hands are open, you can put anything into this hand, any conceptual context or whatever into this hand. It's going to take the shape of whatever you're giving me. To me, that's open hand, open heart, open mind, right? That's me, and that's the unity. And like, bro, it was amazing to talk to you today. Thanks for having me. Yeah, man. So, okay, once again, Andy, if you can just tell us where we can find you. Yeah. Once again, go ahead. Okay, Applied Shotokan on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. Just look for Applied Shotokan, and my blog site is appliedshotokan.com. Awesome. And I'll put all those links and plugs into this video. I'll repurpose everything together, clean it all up, and put it out there. If you want to find me and you like the content that we see here, there's lots of collaborative video content too on karateunity.ca, Karate Unity on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Chris Hansen here signing out. Thank you guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Andy, thank you very much. Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate that.
Pleasure.
And we'll chat later, man. Bye,
Very good.
guys. All right. Take care.